have a huge day of cooking planned, but before I can start on the cooking part, as you look around me, you can probably see my kitchen is in a terrible disarray, so I'm going to have to straighten it out. First thing I need to tackle is all these peppers. You can see I've got them everywhere. I've got mostly the hot ones right here in front of me. A few of those may be hot. They were given to me by a dear friend, so I'm so excited to have them, and I need to put them in jars today. I'm going to pickle all of them. We love those pickled peppers. I have a video, I'll link to that, but that's what I'm going to do with all of them. I still have beans drying in different little areas in my kitchen. I need to put some of those up. It's an ongoing process. I've been doing that. My little cardboard box over there, that's beans that need to be shelled out for seed. So I'm going to try to do that. I've got just a few butter beans. I'm not really wanting to cook them today, so I may try to hold them out and just freeze them. There's not many, and then I have just a few more still growing outside, so maybe I would amass enough to actually have for a good meal. Now, for what's on my menu for the cooking, I'm making a huge pot of chicken and dumplings. We're going to have dinner at church tomorrow, so that's what I'm cooking for today. I've had my big cooker that Matt got me for Christmas. I think it's an 18-quart cooker. I got it out last night, and I put 2 whole chickens in it, and I put some celery and some onions and some carrots in there, and they've been cooking all night, so I know they're done. Now I just need to get all that meat off the bones and actually finish making the dumplings. I have a video about chicken and dumplings too. I really love chicken and dumplings. Who don't, right? Is what I think. You can make a meal just on them. Especially for me, I can make a meal on the chicken and dumplings and a cake of cornbread. And then maybe some pickled beets. I think that goes good together. Anyway, but I love it because it's one of those simple recipes that once you kind of know how to do it, you first decide, what pieces of chicken you like, and if you want to use those vegetables, or if you just want to use broth, or how you want to make your broth, if you want to make it real flavorful, or you want to use canned broth, whatever it is you want to do. Then and what kind of dumplings you want to do. Now I like the little thin ones. They're called slicks sometimes. They're chewy. They're real chewy. That's the kind I like. They're thin and slick, like they say, slicks. Other people like the big fluffy ones, more like biscuits. So you decide all that. Then the more you make them, it's just like one of those recipes you can throw together in no time. And also a recipe that's easily enlarged like I'm doing today. So I hope that's all eat tomorrow at church, but if it's not, I'll bring it home and I'll just put it in the freezer. I'll divide it into containers and put it in the freezer. Other thing I'm going to make, I think I'm going to make an orange tater cake. A few weeks ago, Matt made mashed potatoes. He made supper, and there was some left over, and I was like, I could make tater cakes with them, but no, it's getting close to the holidays. I'm going to freeze those so that I can, whenever I'm ready to make an orange tater cake, I'll have my potatoes already done, and it'll be really easy. So I'm going to make one of those. I also have a video about that. I'll link to it. And then I think I'm just going to make some green beans. I've got 2 quarts of my green beans over there. I'll just make green beans, and that way I can take them in a crock pot, and that, they'll stay warm that way. I can probably plug them up somewhere until people's ready to eat. So I think that'll be really good. So I've got to get all that done today though, and also I have a dear sweet cousin and her husband that's coming to visit from Michigan. They're already here, but they're coming out to see us today. So at some point I'm going to have to stop and go down at Granny's and visit with them for a while. So a busy day for sure. But my first thing I'm going to focus on is the peppers. I have my jars already sterilized over there. What I don't have is the garlic peeled to go into the jar, so I'm going to have to do that first. Now I mostly grow, me and Matt mostly grow sweet peppers because Matt's the only one that likes anything with heat. I usually have 1 or 2 cayennes for him, or 1 or 2 jalapenos out there. This year we grew cayennes, so I have a few of those. But my friend grew lots of hot peppers, so since I know these are jalapenos here mostly, I'm not so sure about all of them. I'm going to wear gloves today. That's always a good thing to do if you're working with hot peppers, because even though you don't realize it, it really can affect your hands. Years ago, Corie and Katie was probably in about 5th grade, 6th grade, something like that. And they were still clogging. They were cloggers in those days. And one night after clogging practice, a dear sweet friend that also clogged with them, Zane, an older man, he said, I've got some peppers. Why don't you take these home to your mama? He told Corie and Katie, and they brought me a whole big bag of peppers. And he told them that they wasn't hot. Well, I come home and start chopping them up and all that, and I didn't notice anything at first, but by the, I maybe even had completed what I was doing with them, and then my hands started throbbing. And I suffered with them for hours. Well, the next week at practice, I was like, Zane, those peppers were hot. And he's like, oh, that ain't hot. You must not like hot peppers. Those wasn't hot at all. So he didn't mean they were sweet peppers. He just meant to him they were not hot, because he was somebody like Matt that really likes hot stuff. Anyway, so after that, I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. Really hurt my hands the rest of the day. So now I use some gloves if I know there's any hot peppers. So I'm going to get started, find some garlic, make sure I've got enough, and then start on my peppers. Okay, time for me to take a little break. I got 4 jars filled at least. I've got a lot more to go, but I'm going to take a break and go down at Granny's to see my cousin Carol Jane and her husband. So the peppers will wait until I get back. Okay, we're back from Granny's. We had a great visit with Carol Jane and her husband Kurt, and now I'm back to work. So I'm going to go ahead, these are the peppers that I know were hot, these jars. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the process of them before I start on the others. And I'll put my gloves back on once I start on the others, just in case I miss some hot ones. But this is the easiest recipe for pickled peppers, and I just learned it last year, and I didn't come up with it. I found it on a website. I'll link to that website below. It's the best ever. We just loved them. All of us loved them. Corie, Katie, Matt, all of us, and Austin. And it's really simple. Now you can do it if you go to the link that I'll leave, and you can do it all different kind of ways. But I just stayed really simple, like the lady said that she did. So I've got, you can hear Olive whining a little bit. I've got garlic and peppers, and I put them in there really, really tightly. Then I mixed some water and some salt, and I boiled it on the stove. I've got it right here, and then I've got some vinegar. So it's a fermented recipe, but it's also, since it's got that vinegar, it's kind of like protection, I guess, if you will, against the things that can go wrong sometimes in fermentation. So first of all, in this one again, I've just got garlic and the peppers. I'm going to put, and the way she described the recipe is you can use, the vinegar really depends on your taste, on what you like. So, but last year I did 1/2, and this year we've already eaten some, 1/2 cup, that wasn't hardly a 1/2 cup of vinegar. So I'm going to put that. And then my jar's hot, I'm going to get my hot water here that had the salt in it, and just pour it in till it covers the peppers. And you won't make as big a mess as I'm making, I'm sure. And I've already got me some lids, and I did sterilize my jars. And on these, I'm going to put them somewhere separate, since I know, which I think I could tell probably from the jalapenos in that one. That would be pretty easy and obvious to tell. I'm going to set them somewhere else though. And then you let them ferment for about a week, and then taste them, maybe 2 weeks. Actually, I just left mine. I've lost my, there it is. I left mine last year even longer than that. But you can taste them after about a week or maybe 2 weeks, and then see if you think that they're to your liking or if they need to go a little bit longer. Almost enough. The peppers are really good though with, think about with soup, beans, and cornbread. Also, just we like them with hamburgers. We like to eat them with hamburgers. So it's just turned out to be such an easy recipe, but one that we all really liked, which is always nice. Oops. I usually use the fermenting weights, but the way I've packed these so far, I've not really needed them. The water's come up, or the liquids come up way above, so unless I need them, I'm just going to go with it like it is, just for it to be simple. And I'm not sure I have enough to do this many peppers either. So I may have to get my fermenting weights out here in a minute. But for now, I'm just gonna see if the water continues just to go above them. I think I'll be okay. Whoops, threw that one. So now that I've got these hot ones, I'm going to set these over here out of the way so that I'll remember those are hot, and then I'm going to start on the rest of them. And I am going to put back on my gloves. And I got my chicken out. I've got it cooling right here, so that'll be my next thing, is picking all the meat off the chicken bones so that I can start the dumplings. Okay, I got the pickles made. I ended up with 10 jars of what I think are sweet peppers and 4 jars of the hot peppers. One thing I didn't mention, before I washed them, of course, and cleaned them up, and then I made a little X on the bottom. Or if the bottom was bad, I just cut the bottom off. But that allows all that liquid to get up inside the peppers. But again, I'm going to link to the place where I learned how to make them, and you definitely should go read that, and gives you more information. So Katie helped me get all the chicken off the chicken carcasses there. And now I'm just going to put it in my broth that it had cooked in. I'll put that in the refrigerator, and then in the morning I'll get up early and make my dumplings and put them in, and that way they can be cooked fresh in the morning. So that job's almost completed once I get this in the refrigerator. And then I guess I'm going to start on my cake now. Corey's here with me today, and Katie. We're getting to have a girls, what is it, Corey? A girls' night?
Yeah, girls' night.
Girls' night. Matt is gone hunting, and Austin is gone hunting. So Corey come over to stay with me and Katie, and
I brought Olive too.
And brought Olive, of course, yeah. So Corey's working on what she's going to take tomorrow. She's made peanut butter cookies, peach cobbler, and now she's making a salad. And you have videos about all of those, or just
mostly just the salad.
Oh, mostly just the salad. So she needs to do a video about the cobbler and the peanut butter cookies because they're so good.
They're gluten-free.
They're gluten-free, which doesn't bother me. And a lot of people ask me about that with Corie and Katie because they talk about eating gluten-free stuff. They're not celiacs. They're not allergic to gluten. It just makes them, they have a sensitivity to it, but it wouldn't hurt them if they actually eat it. It wouldn't make them really sick like it would somebody with a true allergy to it. Right.
Yeah, it's just, I feel better if I don't eat it, but sometimes I eat it anyway.
Yeah, sometimes she eats it anyway. But that's why she can be here in my kitchen. And, of course, I use gluten all the time, and there's no danger. For people that truly do get sick, they could never eat out of my kitchen. Right. So, Corey's making her salad, and I'm going to move on to the cake. Okay, finally ready to make the cake. Corie and I cleaned up some, and she's made herself something to eat. She's making some salad dressing. Do you have a video about that?
Yes.
It's the best salad dressing I've ever eaten in my life. I love it. But now I'm going to make what I think is the best cake I've ever ate in my life. So when I was growing up, Granny made Arsh tater cakes. So Arsh is a way that we would differentiate a sweet potato with a white potato. It's actually Irish, but Arsh is like a corruption of it. Anyway, she learned how to make this cake from someone that she used to ride to work with from Hayesville, just up the road from us, and they would carpool to work. And the lady, sometimes they would have meals there where Granny worked, and of course she brought the cake, and Granny loved it. She said, oh, that recipe's been passed down in my family forever. And so she brought Granny the recipe. And the original recipe had things like a lump or the size of a walnut, you know, those old ways of describing the amounts needed for recipes. But of course, Granny over the years figured out what it, you know, the exact amounts and all that, and what it would equal out to. And it's in of course, it had to be in mine and Jim's cookbook, the Celebrating Southern Appalachian Food. My chicken and dumplings are in there too. And green beans are in there. I'm going to make cornbread tomorrow, so pretty much everything I'm making, that's why me and Jim put them in here. Those are the things that we love and the things that we make often for our families. And our families made for us, like Granny making it for me. The name of the cookbook is Celebrating Southern Appalachian Food, Recipes and Stories from Mountain Kitchens, and I'll put the link down below so if you want to go look at it more. So this is as I said, my favorite cake. Now the cake part of it, you need 3 egg whites, and those you're going to beat till they're light. I have mine right over there already. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, I have that. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, or sody as Granny would say. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 cup butter softened. 2 cups of sugar. 1 teaspoon of cocoa. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And this is the arse tater part. 1 cup mashed potatoes, warm. And they could be left over from a meal. So if you seasoned them with salt and pepper and butter and cream, whatever, it'll be just fine. The ones I've got today are some Matt made for us, as I said a few weeks ago. Then 1/2 cup of milk, got it in my little glass here, and 1 cup of black walnuts. I love black walnuts, so that's what makes it really a traditional recipe for this area of Appalachia and other places in Appalachia where black walnut trees naturally grow. So first and I've got my oven preheated to 350, and I've got 2 cake pans, 9-inch cake pans. You could make it in a long pan, whatever you've got, how you want to do it. I guess I'll go ahead and read you the directions, and then I'll go over and actually show you. But you're going to beat the egg whites, like I said, till they're light and fluffy. Set aside. Sift together flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and set aside. Cream the butter and sugar, add cocoa and vanilla, mix well, add mashed potatoes, mix well, alternately add dry ingredients and the milk, mix well after each addition, fold in black walnuts and egg whites, pour batter into greased and floured 9-inch cake pans. Using parchment lined pans helps prevent sticking, that's what I'm doing. Bake at 350 degrees for 30 minutes or until done. Insert a toothpick to check. When it comes away dry, the cake is ready. Remove cake from pans and let cool. And then the icing, I guess I'll go ahead and read that to you too, I might as well, is 1 cup sweet cream or evaporated milk, 1 cup sugar, 3 egg yolks, that's where you're going to use the rest of your eggs, 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 1/2 cups shredded sweetened coconut, and 1 cup black walnuts. And once the cake is cooled and you assemble it on your cake plate, then you can make your icing, or you start assembling it. To make the icing, cook cream, sugar, and reserved egg yolks over low heat until thick. Remove from heat. Stir in butter, coconut, and black walnuts. And then to assemble, I skipped ahead, didn't I? You place 1 cake layer. Pour half of the icing that you just made, the frosting, on there. Then put the next layer on and pour the rest. So that just allows the frosting to just kind of drip over the edges. Makes it really pretty. It's really easy too because you don't have to worry about getting every piece of the cake actually covered. I'm tired, Corie.
Me too.
I'm tired. We just got the cakes out of the oven. I think I'm gonna wait till in the morning to frost them though, because I'm beat. But I am gonna make Corie help me with one more thing before we quit. Go have our girls' night tonight. This is the easy part. This is some of the dried beans that's been drying. We dried them on the porch and then dried them in here for probably, how long's it's been hanging out, Corie? 2 weeks?
A while.
A while, yeah. So it's mostly rattlesnake beans, but there's a few of the different kinds of beans that Debbie from Bryson Farm Supply shared with us. Those we were calling a paint bean. There's just 3 or 4 of them, and then maybe 3 or 4 of some of the butter beans, and maybe a few of the Yance beans in here. I'm just going to put them all together, and then there's some white ones too. There's a white one. I'm just going to put them all together, and we'll just say when I cook this winter, this is mixed beans. You know how you can buy mixed beans at the store? So I think we could just put these, Corie, let me get a bag. Put them in a bag. They'll fit fine in this. Right on them. Mixed beans. So exciting that we've dried beans for the first time this year.
So pretty.
I know, they were pretty. Right here, you want to see how we can, let's do it over this if we drop them. There we go. Okay, that was easy enough. Now, one less thing hanging out. Whoops, if I can quit dropping them. There's that. I'll wash that, put it up. Then the other thing is, these have been, there's hardly any, but they are butter beans. So I'm going to get Corie to help me break them and get the beans out of them. And then I think I'll just pop them in the freezer, since I have a few more out in the yard that we'll be eating. We'll have many. And as cold as it's getting, I don't know if they'll even get to maturity. Some of these are awful little, but we're going to put them in there anyway. Some of them are big though. See, Corey's got some of those big, pretty purple ones. There's a pretty brown one. These have been sitting in my floor since last week. Oh, that's a pretty one. So, oh, and there's a pretty pink one too.
These are gorgeous.
I know, it's just worth growing them just because you got to get to look at them.
Look at these.
But they're also,
Look at the purple.
Also very tasty. I mean, you can really, once you eat them, you can really see why you call them butter beans.
Yeah.
They're so beautiful. Now, they don't keep that beautiful color once you cook them. But
Okay, I just never seen them until we visited Debbie. I didn't know you could have beans that were that color.
they're pretty.
They're just beautiful.
Even that's pretty, just white with little specks on it. Now, a lot of people's ask me, like, well, where can you get these? Well, I don't have enough, you know, to share yet or to sell or anything like that. Maybe someday. But look for Christmas lima bean or Christmas butter bean. And that's some of those come in colorful ones. If you just do an internet search, you might be able to find them. Or you will be able to find them, I think. May not be just like these, but they will be colorful. And of course, though, like I said, once you cook them, they just turn brown. But they're so pretty to look at, aren't they, Corie?
Mm-hmm.
Makes you feel like you're growing treasures out there.
Magic
jewels,
beans.
magic beans, jewels or something, yeah. Oops, I've left a little one right there. Even a little bit, every little bit.
Yeah, don't want to waste none.
That one's teeny tiny. We'll put him in there too.
Look like the little ones look like little pieces of candy almost
Yeah.
or something. I don't know what kind of candy, but
There's just one bean in that one, but one of those big old, big ones. So you could eat these fresh, like that's what we've been doing, or you could let them dry and eat them like that too, like the dried beans we had there. Let's see if I have here's a dried one. Let's see what it looks like. It's a deeper color.
yeah, I just did a dry.
It's kind of got a bad place on it, but I'm gonna, what do you think? I'm gonna put it in there anyway.
No bean left behind.
Yeah, no being left behind, even little bitty ones like that one.
That's right.
And I'm just gonna put these in a freezer bag and put them in the freezer. I'm not even gonna do anything to them. And then we'll add to those, the ones we've got outside when we harvest the very last of them, which is probably gonna be pretty quick.
I knew this was gonna be pretty because it's a big one.
Big
That
one.
is as pink as really pinker than my
Pinker than your
shirt.
shirt, yeah.
Oh, and look, this next one's purple. What?
Pretty.
Wow.
Amazing, isn't it?
It really is. I can't believe how beautiful these beans are. When you think about Jack and the Magic Beanstalk, these
Yeah,
are,
you
these are
really
the magic
think
beans
these were
right
the magic
here.
beans.
Is that it?
One more.
One more, do you want?
I
You
knew,
wanna do
no,
the
you
honors?
do it. You go right ahead. I knew there wasn't many. So now I can get this out of my kitchen. I didn't manage to get the cardboard one. Maybe we'll work on that tomorrow afternoon or one evening this week. If I could just remember to take it with me when I'm sitting and resting with everybody. There you go. So not hardly even a good handful. Well, I guess maybe a good handful for
You
me.
have small
If you have
hands.
small hands like me, but we're gonna put them in the freezer. And I think we've mostly cleaned up everything, but we've accomplished a lot. Still got to finish my dumplings in the morning, finish frosting the cake, cook some green beans, and make cornbread. But those are green beans and cornbread I could pretty much do in my sleep.
I got it right.
So get the dumplings done and the cake frosted, and then we'll have it licked. So it's 2 days after we finished the video, after we went to church and had our wonderful dinner. Me and Corie, when we were yesterday, when Corie was going to edit the video for me, what she realized was the very last part where I talk about the cake and I'm icing the cake and doing all that, finishing the cake really, I must have bumped the camera and it's blurry. So we're going to put it, it's going to be here, you're going to see it. But we wanted to explain why it's blurry. It's blurry. As you can see, the cake was a really big success. It's almost gone. So we're going to taste it though, since we're having to announce this. And Corey's gonna fight over the last cake, ain't we? Yeah, we're gonna fight over it. So we'll let you go ahead and watch the blurry part. We're sorry that it's blurry, but it's the ending of the video, so we're gonna leave that in there. But mostly I talk about what a pleasure it is to cook for people, how that's wonderful. And I know that's a universal thing, how we all have that in common, eating. I tell a sweet story about Corie, about what she said about being a cooker when she was little. And then of course, you know, I thank you for stopping by to help us celebrate Appalachia.
It is really good.
My favorite cake, favorite dessert, by far.
This is going to spoil my lunch.
Yeah, I know. We're about to have dinner. But we are always glad when you stop by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and we're sorry for the blurry the blurry ending of this video. You can't take it. I gotta have more. We better go eat though.
I know, I don't need to eat this.
One more bite. We might as well just leave our forks though and finish it after we eat.
Honestly, yeah, it's not even like a full piece.
So I've had a good night's sleep. Me and Corie and Katie had a lot of fun last night. We didn't stay up very late. We were all wore out. But we enjoyed being together and being silly a little bit and talking and watching a little TV, and then we all turned in. Me and Corey's been up quite a while this morning. I've already got my dumplings made. They're over there bubbling away. They're ready to go. I've got the green beans on the stove. Corie helped me get those started. And then I've also got my cornbread about ready to go in the oven. I've got my pan heating in the oven. I like to heat my pan first. I think that's the true secret to good cornbread. So I've got that ready. Now I need to ice the cake. I've already went over to the stove in my little sauce pot here, and I've warmed up I put in my cream, my sugar, and my egg yolks that I saved yesterday from making the cake, and cooked it till it's thick. It's not thick like pudding thick, but almost that thick. So now I just need to stir in the rest of the ingredients. So I've got my butter here. I'm going to stir it in first and let it melt a little bit. Now the coconut I'm using, I said sweetened coconut. I've used sweetened coconut probably the most, but this I have today is just not sweetened coconut, just all natural coconut, like it's just shredded. And that works good too because of the sugar that you use. It's plenty sweet enough. So I'm going to put it in now. And my wonderful black walnuts. And if you're not a black walnut fan, you could swap out for something else. Black walnuts are one of those things you either really love them or you don't like them at all. So, woo, I'm splattering. I've got my church clothes on. I do have an apron on, but that ain't going to do me no good if I splatter up to my face, is it? So now that I've got that all, I'm going to make me some room. Corey's going to be my dishwasher. She's going to come wash the dishes. I started on these. There's my oven up to heat. That's the thing about making a big meal like this, and especially canning in between it. Everything you've got gets dirty. So I've already got my first layer on my cake stand here. And this is a cake you can probably see. It's not one of the cakes that rises really big. It's more of a dense, rich cake. That's what makes it so good. So I have to get me a different thing to work with besides this. But I'm going to put some of the icing in the middle here, and then just pour the rest on the top layer and just let it soak in. And it's better if you do it the day before, but I just got too tired last night and wanted to quit. We had such a big day. Let's see if I can get this. Actually, before I do this, I'm gonna do my cornbread, since I know my pan's hot in there. Go ahead and get it stirred up. That's all right. When you're cooking, it gets loud. That's only to be expected. It's like a real kitchen, Corey.
That's true.
It is a real kitchen, but I was thinking like a restaurant kitchen, you know. Okay. Swap that out and get my hot pan. Very hot. You hear the sizzle. That's what I like to hear. Someone recently commented and said, "Do you cook cornbread every day?" So I cook it a lot of days. We eat a lot of cornbread. It's one of our staples, isn't it, Corey?
It is, yeah. We have cornbread a lot.
Yeah. Wait till you get back behind me to... Okay, put me a timer on so I don't forget it. Now, start with my frosting. I should have turned that one up the other way. Another layer. Cold weather's moved into our area, so kind of seems like the holidays, don't it, Corey? Doing all this cooking.
It kind of does, yeah.
So as the cake begins to cool a little bit, it'll drip down the sides, soak in. Like I said, I should have done this part last night, but I didn't. It'll still be good though. Oh, it's going to be delicious. So I'm going to set it right here. I may have to clean up some of my edges there, putting that on it. I usually don't care if I'm here at home because I can leave it uncovered, but I'm going to have to. I've got my... Thinking about traveling with it. clean up my mess. I'm always impressed when I watch the people that do the fancy cakes and it's just perfect. And man, I could never do that. I just worry about how it tastes, but I know that those cakes are impressive. A girl that I went to school with and graduated high school with, she makes the most beautiful creations. Like if you're having a birthday party, you know, and you want to, maybe for your little boy or something, and you want a tractor cake, she'll do that, and it just looks so realistic and tastes really good too. So, okay, now all we got left is to pack it all up once the cornbread gets ready. I hope you enjoyed coming along with us while we made pickles and done all this other cooking. It's really something that I love to do. I've always loved to cook. I was really young when Granny first started letting me cook. She would just turn me loose and let me do, like I didn't want to make what Granny made. I wanted to do recipes, you know, out of her books. And she let me. And sometimes they were good and sometimes I messed them up, but she just let me do what I wanted to do. And I've just loved cooking ever since then. But when Corie likes to cook more than Katie. Katie does cook some stuff, but Corie's more of a cooker is what we call it, because that's what Corie called it when she was little. She was just a little girl, probably maybe 6 or 7 years old when she told me. She said, "Mama, when I grow up, I want to be a cooker." That's what she called it, a cooker. And I said, "You do?" And she said, "Yeah, because it makes people happy." She had already figured out that is a common theme for all of us, is that we all eat, whether you live in Appalachia or somewhere else, and you've got other traditional recipes like this one is to us. It's a common thing, and so many of our memories are tied up with the food that we eat, you know, thinking, like I said, about Granny making this cake when I was a girl, even the person that she got it from, how it had been in their family, like one of their special cakes. So, and now Corie and Katie and Matt, of course, Corie and Katie, the whole time they've been growing up, they have the same memory. I'm not sure they like the cake as much as I do, but they have those same memories that I do, and food really ties into your memories like that. And of course, I'm sentimental, so I like to think about those things. But Corie, you had it figured out, didn't you?
Yeah, I love the cook.
You know, cooking does make people happy. And makes us happy every time you drop back by to help us celebrate Appalachia, and we really appreciate you. You're sweet.
Love my mom.
I love you too. Love you too. All right, let's clean this mess up.
We need some more.
I love you 3.
I love you 3. I love you too, Katie.
Good water, buddy. Thanks.